The Crow was a really, really good movie. And then they made some sequels. And then they made a remake. And today we're going to find out what Crow movie is the worst Crow movie. Today on Hack the Movies. Oh my God, Logan, I got you in studio.
Yes, yes.
Finally. It's amazing, but Logan, I got a question.
What?
Who the hell is right next to you? Properly introduce yourself. Properly introduce yourself right now.
I am Becca, the other half of Video Vila. Usually I am hiding when Logan does these other episodes with other people. So here we are today.
I can barely get us on our own show.
That's true.
You should feel pleasure.
When Hack the Movies comes calling, you got to come run here.
What more fun thing to do?
Yeah. So The Crow. What a great movie that first one was. I covered it a while back for its 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Recently I picked up the 4K Blu-ray for the 30th anniversary, and I got to see it at the Mahoning Drive-In. I'm all crowed out this year. And I was like, well, you know what? Might as well check out those other Crow movies, especially the new one in theaters.
The mistake you made.
And who better to help me than Logan, because you're a big Crow fan.
Yes, I love the first one. Big fan of the first one, and the comic, what you have right here.
Yes.
And I got to meet James O'Barr because it was been my passion to meet him ever since I was 13 going to Hot Topic. So when I met him, it was funny. I literally said that to him. He's like, yeah, I kept the lights on there for a little bit. But yeah, it's the first one is in my top 5 favorite films. I know it's not the best film in the world, but for some reason, I connect to it and I like it a lot.
Man, you really love The Crow. I should have had you on the first episode instead of loser Joey C.
You probably should.
What was I thinking? What was I thinking? What are your thoughts on The Crow?
I really like the original.
Yeah.
The original is a rewatch that I enjoy every time. We watch it once a year, I'd say.
Yeah, we watch it a couple times a year.
It still hits every time. Brandon Lee's great. You can't not love Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
It's like I said in that review, I'm like, it's still solid. There's some clunky things in there, but that was mostly because of forced rewrites, which you had to do.
Yeah.
There's some awkwardness here or there, but for the most part, considering what happened in the last minute rewrites and everything, it works really, really well. It's a good adaptation of the comic. Every change they make works. Although the one change, they're basically like, let's just steal the plot of RoboCop, where the bad guys, the street level bad guys, work for a bigger bad guy. I'm like, that's just RoboCop, buddy. But it works. It's one of those things where all the changes they made, I'm like, yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
the book is kind of all over the place sometimes.
It is, yeah, and you could tell because it took James O'Barr 10 years to write the book.
Yeah,
so you can tell where it's like, okay, maybe if you would have written this in I don't know, in 6 months versus over 10 years, it would have been a little bit more.
He's all like, and then he's dreaming about a horse, maybe.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, he's got to kill some guys. I should get back to that.
And the artwork's super inconsistent.
Yeah, the artwork that's my
Very
favorite part.
inconsistent.
And again, I got the special edition that has extra stuff in it. It's just all over the place.
Oh, no, because there would be some things if you watch interviews where he's like, yeah, I learned how to draw by looking at Michelangelo's David. I'm like, I see that in this issue. I don't know what I'm looking at here. But hey, he can draw better than me, so.
But yeah, first movie comes out, huge hit. Huge. And they're like, well, we have to do a second one. And no one in the room at the time went, well, we don't have to do a second. We would just make other movies. And they went, nope, we have to do a second one. So
and we also have to cut the budget by $2 million.
By $2 million. Yeah. Well, maybe that was the original budget of The Crow before they had to make a bunch of last minute changes. Yeah. They're like, well, this time we don't have to make the skull cowboy costume that we're not going to use. Yeah, so they did Crow, City of Angels. They got director Tim Pope in there, and writer David S. Goyer went on to make some.
You know him. You know him personally.
I know him personally. He developed the story for Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, and Demonic Toys.
Yes, and Demonic Toys. Those are his 2 claims to fame. And I guess Blade. But anyway. So our good friend of the show, Cecil from Good Bad Flicks, did a whole video breaking down what happened with this film. And I highly encourage you all watch that video because we're not going to get into it too much. This was going to be a very different movie. We'll touch on it here and there when we have to. But one thing I learned from that is that they were actually asking fans what they wanted to see in a movie, a sequel if there was a follow-up. And to their credit, they tried to do something that was different. And then Harvey Weinstein said, "What? Make it like the other one." After they had already shot the movie.
Yeah, 100%. It's
the worst time to make that decision, I think.
I think Tim Pope said he still has never seen it. He's still never seen the final cut.
I don't blame him. I actually watched this one a lot. They played this on HBO a lot.
Oh my God, so much. I saw this one before I saw the original. Well, I saw a clip of the original when I was little, and then I saw this one, and then I realized it wasn't the original.
Yeah.
And then when I finally saw the original, like when I was like, 12 or something like that, and I was like, oh, this is a movie.
Yeah. But before we go any further, Becca, can you read the back of the box for Crow City of Angels?
Of course. So we have the fast-moving, action-packed sequel to The Crow explodes on screen with hot new stars Vincent Perez and sexy Mia Kirshner. After a brutal attack by an evil drug cartel, the murder victim, Perez, is brought back to life by a mysterious crow. With the help of a beautiful woman named Sarah, he exacts revenge on his killers one by one, only to realize his enemy, the lethal Judah, has discovered the one weakness that can destroy him forever. Powered by sizzling, chart-topping soundtrack, The Crow, City of Angels, is an intense and exhilarating motion picture experience. And now, the exclusive director's cut features never-seen-before footage, hot music video, and a rare Brandon Lee interview.
Well, yeah, let's put a million quotes around director's cut. Not a director's cut.
The Weinstein cut.
That's gracious.
So the things that are different, because everyone says it's just like a rehash of the first one, but it wasn't meant to be. It's not lovers anymore. It's father and son.
Which I like.
Yeah.
I like that.
That changed right away. It's like, okay, this is different enough. Well,
it shifts the dynamic.
Yeah, it's a different type of mourning and whatnot. He is a mechanic, which is something. So they took things that were left out of the comic, and one of them was like the whole mechanic thing. Because Eric was a mechanic in the original, not a rock star. They changed that. I like that. So buried in this movie is a plot line that's completely abandoned, where he's like, wait a minute, but now that I'm back, I kind of like this girl.
Yeah.
And I want to stay on Earth with her. So that adds an extra element to it, which gets swept away. And then we find out that there are bad guys who are aware of the Crow and like magic and stuff and how they can use it for their purposes. And like I said, Harvey Weinstein went, no, tone all that down. Edit everything to look how it's supposed to look. I don't know. How do you feel about this film? We'll go down the line.
Yeah.
To be honest, man, I know there's probably a good movie in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There are things that are cool. There is just a vibe, this movie, that I just don't like, and I can't shake it. It's just, it's overall, like I said, the concepts are good, but just the way people act and like, just like I use it's very European feeling. And it's
Vincent Perez was like a big European star. They brought him over a little, maybe a little too early. I'm like,
they were a little overzealous with that.
Well, I mean, Hollywood loves to do that. They're like, what's his name? Arnold? Does he have a good American accent? No. All right, make him the star of the movie. Well, I just said no.
Well, there's certain things, like especially in the movie, where like the one part with the whole Judah is like, oh, there can't be any witnesses. I'm like, there are no cops in this city. What do you give a shit that there's a witness?
I don't think we ever see a cop in this movie at all.
So you don't have to kill the little boy. Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, like I said, there is a glimmer of a good movie in there, but the overall thing just doesn't.
Well, one of the things that helps, I think, is that they got some people from the original film to come back. Like, I think the production designer came back. I think the guy who did the music. So it looks and sounds great. It's a very good looking movie. The miniatures look really, really great.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The God Saves, like the little miniatures of the building and stuff like that. That's still almost if it actually is better than the Brandon Lee one. Yeah,
the miniature wise, I agree with that. Where do you land on this one?
Yeah, I would say the same. Like it has potential there, but they never actually like meet that potential. Yeah. Like it definitely still has the same like dark aesthetic that the original Crow has, but it just kind of like leaves you hanging, in my opinion. I do like the father-son dynamic because there's always like that's always going to be, heartfelt or whatever. But same thing, like he literally contemplates just like my kid, nah, fuck that. I like her. Like, and that you're like, well, hold on a second. Like, I was with you until this point, and now I'm not with you here. And then, like you said, they just dropped that plot, like as if it didn't even happen. So all in all, like it's okay, but it doesn't meet that expectation of like the one that the first one left.
Yeah.
It kind of like it slowly takes a few steps down.
You're talking about acting, okay? Mira Kirshner is gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
she is drop dead gorgeous in this. But holy shit, every scene.
Yeah,
her eyes are trying to explode out of her head.
I wrote that down. I'm like, why is Sarah acting so stupid? That's literally my note.
She's just, every single scene, she's just wide-eyed. Like I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah. Why is she like that?
And then like that, the tilt to her head, and just like, why are you doing? You're not an owl.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of shots of just eyes in this.
Yeah, and it's a facial expression that you're like, there's no thoughts back there. Like there's nothing. This is just a blank look. Like it's almost
like a buffering.
Yeah, it's almost like when a moment, like it's like, did you forget your lines? Are you lost? Like what are you doing?
So yeah, Sarah grew up. She kept the cat.
Gabriel, yeah.
The cat's still kicking. She kept the tragedy mask, which I wrongfully called a jester mask in the other review. Sorry. No one called me out on it. I noticed it. Yeah, and for some reason, I guess because of her experience with Eric, she is drawn to whatever supernatural force allows the crow to come back. So she's kind of... Because remember, the first movie would have had a person explaining things to Eric.
Yes.
But then Brandon Lee got shot, and they went, sorry, Michael Berryman, we're rewriting it. We're just not going to explain shit. And it actually almost works a little bit better.
Yeah, I like the you know, we don't... Yeah. The thing is, it was just a revenge mission. That's it. You don't need... He just needs to get the job done, and that's it. That's all it works. And this one... You could tell, obviously, there was some point to it.
Yeah.
Why it might need to be explained based off the original ending that they were going to have.
Yes,
you know
yes, yes. So she's there to kind of explain things to him. You couldn't do the Skull Cowboy in this one? I just want to see the fucking Skull Cowboy. Like, that's going to be a running theme. Like, why?
It was pretty cool. To be honest, I thought we could have got something like that in the new one.
We'll get to that. We will get to that. I was very mad about that. Yeah, so she's there to explain things to him. And then this becomes like a theme with these sequels. How are they going to get him to put the makeup on? They got lucky with this one. They're like, this girl was around for the first one, so she's doing it as a tribute to Eric. She draws the thing on him, and he never goes, what are you doing? Stop it. I'm not that guy. What the fuck? Stop making me like that guy. I don't want to paint my face. The crow himself, Ash, he's okay.
Yeah,
he's okay.
I'm not big with it. Like, I don't like the why is your belly showing in your shirt?
Well, I was gonna say he looks like if Joey C designed the crow, it would be this 100%. He looks like he plays in the band Him or something like that.
Yeah,
I did like how his jacket had like two little flaps that were supposed to look like wings.
Yeah, they did that on purpose so he would do that when he rode the motorcycle.
Yeah, but that's part of like the rehashiness of it. It's like, oh, his face is also painted. Oh, and he's also wearing kind of the same thing. I do like his superhero suit up.
And then he feels the power surging through him when he grabs his fist. It's like, the leather didn't add anything to that.
But like I said, it's not his fault. He was struggling with the English language a little bit. But it's mostly okay until he's trying to be cocky and jokey. And it's just... It's rough. Like
him yelling is the worst.
His yelling is really bad when he shows up at the jerk off booth. Which, if those things were real, I guess that was before our time. We
got one in Baltimore.
I know where I'm going next time. Well, I just want to experience. I'm like, was this like a real thing?
I was looking up arcades on Google. And those things are called arcades.
Oh yeah.
And I looked it up. I'm like, I don't think this is the arcade I'm looking for.
I've always seen those in shows and movies, and I'm just like, I've been to some skeevy places, but I've never seen that as an option anywhere.
20 minutes down the road from our house next time you come by.
Well, isn't it like, is it Amsterdam or something where they have the red light district and it's the women behind like the windows and stuff?
Yeah.
And so I guess it's kind of like a twist.
It's sort of like that, like a peep show sort of thing.
Because you get the red backlight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to buy tokens and everything. Because that was one of the Google complaints. They're like, when are the girls there to buy tokens? I'm like, I don't think you need girls to play.
Well, the point is,
Super Street Fighter.
in that scene, he like shows up instead of the girl. He's like, "Do you want me, baby?" And it's like, ah.
Okay, I actually kind of like that part. I thought that was funny.
Do you want me, baby?
Yeah, so his whole cockiness didn't really work for me. And this actor, though, would redeem himself. He was one of the vampires in Queen of the Damned, which I reviewed. So yeah, our hero, maybe we're not too hot on our heroes, but we got some great villains. We have early Tom Jane.
Yep.
Thomas Jane. He's the one in the jerk off.
And the thing is, they said he's modeled after glam rock. I'm like, what? I've never seen someone wear a Bozo the Clown wig.
His wig.
No.
I didn't realize that was Tom Jane for a long time.
Oh my God, until you read the IMDb.
Yeah, and you're like, oh shit, that's Tom Jane. Yeah, his wig, I think his wig falls off in a scene and they just left it in. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The late Thuy Trang, the Yellow Ranger.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Rest in
And
peace.
of course, earlier today, I said, Tony, you have like 5 action figures of the Yellow Ranger. You should put them on the set. And then I just never did. Yeah, her big scene got completely trimmed down. She was supposed to have an extended fight scene with the Crow. Because one, she actually knew martial arts.
Yeah.
And two, she's the one who actually killed his son.
Yeah.
So it would have had more of an impact. And then they went, nah, cut it down.
They cut it in the comic. Like, did you want me to talk about that? Like,
Yeah, you can talk about the comic. Yeah.
So the comic is like you were talking about the original Vision. If you want the majority of the original Vision, if you do buy the comic, that is like the original like screenplay because a lot of things that were taken out of the movie are in the comic.
Which happens a lot with comic adaptations.
Yeah.
Because they're made ahead of time and they're like, oh, we changed everything. I'm like, well, fuck you, it's out.
Or like even if you open it up, it looks like Eric Draven in the comic. God drew him like Eric Draven. Which he looks, I mean, it's not the best artwork, but I mean, but yeah, so like there's one scene where she stabs him to explain you can't die. That's in the comic. That's not in the movie.
Oh, yeah. I remember that from Cecil's video. That's why, like, when he leaves Sarah's, he's just grabbing his belly, and you're like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah. And that's the one thing is, like, that fight scene, unfortunately, the comic is kind of a streamline of that director's cut, so it is very short, too.
Yeah. But yeah, she's basically Bai Ling's character from the first one.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not really. They kind of split Bai Ling's character. They're like magic lady and then the Asian psychopath. We're gonna split those characters in half.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing is they add that element to the movie. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why can't we just have like why do we have to add so much? Can he just be the only supernatural part of the movie?
Well, I mean, the Bai Ling in the first one, they needed like someone who was aware of like the spirit world.
Which they had to kick back on that because they said that role was technically racist.
In the first one?
In the first one, yeah, Brandon Lee was kind of fighting for them to take it out of the. They dumbed it down a little bit. He was trying to fight.
Oh yeah, it was probably way more offensive.
Yeah.
I could probably see that. But yeah, I mean, the original ending of the first Crow. I don't think they were going to do the whole them shooting the Crow. It was literally the Skull Cowboy's like, no, your mission's done.
Yeah,
because I guess he just doesn't know about Top Dollar.
Yeah.
I guess because he was indirectly responsible and not directly. It's like, no, you're done. And he's just like, all right, if you save Sarah, you have no powers. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what what's the villain? I just said his name. What's the villain's name again?
In
the City of Angels?
Judah.
So that's the one thing is when, I don't know if that's a scene that was added because that's not part of the comic, but like where that the scene of him in the car, and it's like, oh, Judah sent the order to have him killed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of those added scenes they must
It feels
added
very added.
because it's like, it doesn't make sense because technically, once he killed all the killers, he could just go back.
Well, again, they not only did they re-edit it, they did reshoots. So I think they added that to be more like the first one.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, we got Iggy in here.
Finally, he was supposed to be in the first one.
Yes, he was supposed to be the first one. Apparently, the Crow was somewhat modeled after him, I heard.
It was, shit. I forgot his name, but Peter Murphy and Iggy Pop were the two, Peter Murphy's face and Iggy Pop's body for the body, the Crow. And that the Michelangelo David picture that he put in there, that is definitely, you can like, you look at those two and you're like, oh, 100%.
Yeah. He has one of the best line reads in history. You think I'm afraid of you?
You think I'm afraid?
I remember for years I was like, what did he say? I'm like, I had to like slow it. I'm like, oh, he said afraid. It just seems like he was grunting for a long period of time.
He can't and also this is like one of had he done Tank Girl already? So he's probably been acting for like a hot minute now. This probably wasn't his like first movie.
No, this probably wasn't his first movie, but I like his character arc of I got the wrong tattoo. He's like, these look like two demons, and everyone's like, no, that's a bird, buddy.
That's a fucking bird. That is a bird. It's not two demons fighting, not one bit.
He was pretty fun, and they have a fun little like motorcycle chase or something at some point.
Yeah.
His death scene was pretty cool. They really like the fire outline of the crow in the first one. They're like, we got to find more excuses to have crow outlines.
I know, right? The things they came up with throughout all these movies, it's like, oh my god,
The flowers.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen.
So like a crazy lady is just throwing flowers into the water as he's floating, and they shape like the crow, and then Thuy gets thrown out, and her blood splatters like a crow.
Oh my god. This movie is it's a movie.
Again, Tom Jane, he's there. His thing is like he likes to videotape everything.
Yeah.
It's like his favorite thing in the world. Then you got the big, I'm sure there were a few others, who cares? They got Judah. They got Judah, who is a little interesting because he's aware of this supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
And they cut all that backstory out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually that actually, for surprisingly, that's not in the comic. And I don't know if, like I said, if the comic is it's like very force fed to you, like really fast to get the entire movie because it's only 3 issues.
Yeah.
Like I just read the Django comic. That's 7 issues, and it's the movie.
Yeah.
It's the original screenplay.
Jesus.
So like. Like the fact that this is 3 issues is like, okay, this is like a 30-minute long movie. If you think about it. But yeah, they took that out too. But they left the line in too.
Yeah, they left the line about how he went to hell.
Yeah.
That I didn't know until Cecil's video. I'm like, wait, he really went to? I'm like, because that line, I'm like, could you elaborate? What did you see down there?
Yeah.
Did you run into Spawn? What did you do down there?
That's the thing is like the fact that they even left it in the comic. I'm like, well, then why don't we have at least 2 pages of scene?
Yeah.
It makes it still makes no sense.
Yeah, and it would explain why he has that like vision person lady.
Which is another thing that they add to the movie. It's like, why?
Who in this cut becomes a good guy, but they are still a bad guy in the original version.
yeah.
But since they edited it to make her seem like a good guy, it's like, why did she decide to become a good guy all of a sudden?
Literally until up until the end, and then she's like, I'm gonna help her.
You're not the only prisoner.
Yeah.
No,
You're
I
like,
don't work that way.
Girl, I feel like you chose to be here. I did not choose to be here. I'm a little confused.
So, yeah, so like I said, it's kind of like The Crow. He kills them one by one.
Yeah.
And then he has to fight the bad guy. Again, this time they straight up kill the physical crow.
Yeah.
And they take its blood, and that gives Judah crow powers, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, Ash is just a normal guy now. Because in the first movie, the crow wasn't fully dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, Eric could maybe be killed, but as long as that crow's alive, he should be fine. But then I guess the spirit world went, uh-oh, we better send some extra crows down there to supercharge him. And then he shoots a bunch of crows at Judah, who turns into a CGI blob and then disappears. Because he was originally supposed to have all his flesh and stuff ripped off. Yeah, but then they were like, we're not animating that.
Yeah, that's in the comic.
Yeah. No, they're like, throw like a blur effect. And
That's just half-assed at this point. We made it to the end.
Yes.
Once again, it's like you made this super successful movie that made you so much money. Let's make a sequel and take $2 million away from it. That makes sense.
And then I bet you they like were written into a corner. Maybe they couldn't get Mia Kirscher. They're like, oh wait, we're stuck with the girl dies ending. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like a sad ending because it's like, oh, that lady died. Well, at least I get to hang out with my dead son again. Bye. It's like, oh.
Yeah. The dead son that I was just about to just be like, nah, fuck it. I like it here.
That's another thing is I don't like that ending at all.
Yeah.
The fact of like, no. You go with your son, dude. Like, no, fucking, you barely know this bitch.
Yeah, that was a little forced, the whole romance. But I mean, it would have been an interesting ending where like he's just doomed to be on Earth forever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how the comic is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something different. It's something it's like, hey, we're still getting the whole revenge stuff that we liked and the crow visuals, but like the story, it's sad the story was a little bit different and it was chopped up. For me, this is my Alien 3 of the Crow franchise, where like I still kind of like it. I'm like, I love the visuals. I love the feel of it.
Yeah.
I love what they were going for. And it just sucks knowing that there is a better movie. But unlike Alien 3, we haven't gotten that better movie. Whereas Alien 3, you can now get the assembly cut. Even looks like Alien 3 with the grungy, greenish, yellowish tint. Yeah, they almost got it.
I wonder. That's one thing I should have got a ROM of the game and played the game.
I was gonna say I've seen the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Oh, it's all. If you open this up, it's just full of game advertisements and stuff like that, and them trying to sell Crow promotional shit.
But yeah, that's all I got to say for Crow City of Angels. It tried, and unfortunately, it failed. Any last words on Crow City of Angels before we move on?
No, I feel like that's spot on. It was a close shot, but they missed.
I understand that they were trying to do something different, and if they actually succeeded and got to see something different, that would have been like, I guess, okay, it's not a complete knockoff. So we did try to do something different. We just didn't succeed. But the fact that it was just like butchered to make it look like the original, and it just made it 10 times worse.
Yeah,
because it's like obviously you're comparing it to the original, trying to make another or like the original, and that just, I think, really tanks it a lot, to be honest.
Yes, and then after that, they went, what are we going to do next? And they went, let's remake the first one as a TV show that then gets canceled. We'll talk about that some other time. We're not including that in the movies, but that was Crow Stairway to Heaven, which was the Eric Draven story again. The Skull Cowboy's in there, but he doesn't look like a skull.
I wish I would have bought, when Movie Gallery went out of business, there was a box of VHS tapes, and I saw it right there, had it in my hands, and for some reason, I didn't buy it. That would have been something nice to have.
How dare you? Some Crow fan you are.
I know. I had a Wicked Prayer screener. They didn't even make it on VHS, but I had a VHS screener of it, and my mom gave it to Goodwill.
But yeah, so City of Angels didn't impress anyone. The show got canceled. But you know, how are they going to fix the Crow? We need some salvation for the Crow. Which is when we got the Crow's salvation. Could you please read the back of the box, Logan?
All right. A stylish mix of thrills and chills. Hot star Kristen Dunst, Bring It On, and Eric Mabius, Cruel Intentions star in The Crow's Salvation, the third exciting motion picture in The Crow legacy. Wrongly executed for the murder of his girlfriend, Alex Corvez returns from the dead to set out and find the real killer. Aided by his girlfriend's sister, Dunst, and under the guidance of a mysterious crow, he unmasked a tangled web of corruption and deceit. Alex seeks not only retribution for the injustice, but the redemption for the darkness in his soul. A must-see for Crow fans.
Oh, it was a must-see. So I didn't see this, or maybe I saw... Yeah, that coaster sucks. Sorry. Maybe I saw this back in the day. I don't really remember it. But I watched it last night. And I'm like, all right, it's time for Crow's Salvation. Let's do this. Oh, buddy. They tried. I will say, what's his name? The writer. I don't remember what the director did, but Chip Johannesson. He was like a writer and executive producer on like a bunch of shows that I like, and the one that I talk about a lot, Millennium, which no one fucking remembers.
Well, he did Homeland.
And Homeland, yes, which I didn't watch. But
apparently it's really good. He did like 33 episodes of it.
Nice. And I will say, like, on a script level, it's not too bad.
No, I'll agree with that, to be honest. I mean, to be honest, there is a good movie in there. Yeah. We didn't get one, but there's a good movie in there.
The script, toward the end, it gets a little goofy with Fred Ward's character. Yeah. And it's just like, wait, he knows about crows? What the fuck? But yeah, there's a bit of a mystery, which I guess I knew the dad was in on it, but that might be because he was played by William Atherton, who's always a douchebag, so I just don't trust him right away. But I didn't know exactly where it was going to go. And then they almost fake you out with an ending where it makes it seem like the Crow was the bad guy. And I'm like, would have been kind of interesting. And then they don't commit to it. But yes, my favorite thing, how are they going to get him in the Crow makeup? So this time they put him in the electric chair and they have like a leather mask over him and it fries him. But when he comes back as the Crow, he fixes his burnt face. Except for the scars around his eye and mouth, which imitate the crow makeup.
Yeah.
That was a stretch.
Yeah.
That was a stretch.
I will say the scene of him ripping his face off, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I mean, that's different. But yeah,
See, they should have kept Sarah alive. So she's like, and now I work at the coroner's office. Oh no, another crow. Hold on, let me get my
Gotta
makeup.
paint it.
But yeah, okay, so where do you land on Salvation? What do you think of Salvation? What are your thoughts on this? When did you first see it?
I saw this, it came out 2000. So like,
Were you wearing the makeup and you were like, they're going to get it right this time?
no, not that early. Not that early. But no, I saw this probably when I think Miramax put out the 3 DVD box set. So I bought the three DVD.
In a pack,
yeah. So I had that.
Yeah.
I got that for like a birthday gift, and that's when I first saw it. I was like, oh, there's a third one. When I first saw it, I was okay with it. Rewatching it, it was just a rough rewatch.
Yeah.
I realized like, man, this is not a good.
This is going to be the problem with all of them. After the first one, they just feel like generic revenge flicks.
Yeah.
But they have to force in the crow supernatural thing, and it's always forced in real awkwardly.
Yeah.
When the rest of the movie, it's just those two, the generic action revenge and the supernatural crow thing never quite jives in any of these afterwards.
No.
Well, did you know who was originally going to direct the third one?
Okay, well, there's a few. Apparently, Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one was going to be kind of interesting. Like, but they kept on dicking him around, and eventually they just ended up giving it to somebody else after he'd been actually working on the film itself.
And then he still worked with them for the Halloween remakes. And then I heard about one that was going to have like DMX and Eminem in it.
Oh no, that's the fourth.
Oh, that was going to be the fourth one.
I got some juicy stuff about that one.
Okay, good. So yeah, Crow Salvation. Were you like, this is the one that's going to fix it? Did you wear makeup when you first
No, I didn't wear makeup. I'm surprised Logan didn't when we went to the movies.
I almost put on makeup. I have white makeup and black makeup from Halloween leftovers.
Yeah, really what sold me is I love Bring It On, so like I'm biased. I'm actually going to come back and that's what we'll review. A little one-on-one. I will say I like it better than The City of Angels, but I don't like it better than the first.
Oh, obviously.
Just like I like the whole like love story and revenge for a relationship. I also like love kind of a murder mystery because it does juke you out and it's like, well, did he kill her? Like who the fuck killed her? Because it looked like you did. Like, and also the mental aspect where he's trying to like convince him like I forget the guy's name, but the higher up police officer guy.
Fred Ward's character. Yeah,
where he's like shoving the picture in his face and he's starting to like change the way he sees it and he's like mentally juking him out. I like that shit, like the mental part of it. But it's still a miss. It's still like skims by and you're like, nah, not the spot.
To be honest, I think if you threw like another 10 million at this, you can make a good movie.
You probably could. I
really do. If you, with the same structure, if you made this with a better budget and maybe actually got at least a couple better actors.
Yeah.
I really think, because some of the stuff like the helicopter scene, like why'd you even spend money on that?
I was gonna say I was shocked watching it. I'm like, that's a real fucking helicopter.
Yeah.
Like why?
I'm like, oh, that actually looks really good until it blows up. You're like, okay, well, that didn't look good at all.
Exactly. You could have saved, you could have invested it into like better lighting or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't like I said, there's parts of this movie that can be good, and I really think like I don't know. It just sucks because it just seems so cheap and so low budget.
Yeah. I will say there were parts that I was appreciating. Like at first, I'm just like, well, he doesn't look like the Crow.
Yeah.
Because he's wearing his prison gear. He's wearing like a Michael Myers jumpsuit. But for a minute, I was just like, you know what? I like that they took a chance and went with a different look. I actually don't mind this. And then he finds a goddamn trench coat.
Yeah.
And then it looks weird on him because he's still wearing the jumpsuit and the short hair. I'm like, this isn't working. Why did you guys feel the need to do like it was It was fine before that. I adjusted to it, but like
his face. To be honest, I don't hate his face.
I hate his face.
Yeah, I'm with Tony on that one. I'm like, nope, take it off. Take that
well,
face off.
he just he's in the Resident Evil movie.
Yeah,
he always has like a weird looking face. That guy. No offense to that guy. His facial expressions look weird, and when you add the dumb Crow makeup, everything looks like this.
And his acting, oh my God, his acting.
Yeah.
Spark, gas. Bad combination.
Well, the say something, then pause, then say something, then pause. It's like, oh my God, man, come on.
He does come off as kind of an asshole. I'm like, I can see why people thought he was the murderer. He's kind of a
Yeah.
douchebag.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about effects with the helicopter, but what did you think of the one effect where he shoots the back of his head off?
Oh my God.
And then like you just see the back of his head just rebuild itself in that weird green screen.
Well, then all of a sudden, it also doesn't realize what movie it wants to be because it's over 30-something minutes, 40 minutes into the movie. Then it gets super gory out of nowhere. It's like,
Yeah.
why is this all saved to the end of the movie? I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, we got a young Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Fresh off Jumanji. No, it was a few years after Jumanji. It was after Bring It On, though. Before Spider-Man. It was like 2 years before Spider-Man. You think this is what got her the part in Spider-Man? They were like, well, she was one of the okay actors.
Yeah.
We already saw her in a green Komodo, so let's put her in a red one
Yeah.
and have Spider-Man save her.
Who can we get for Mary Jane? We have the most okay actor in Crow Salvation, not called Fred Ward. Let's do it. If Fred Ward was a woman, he would be perfect for Mary Jane. We'll just have to settle for Kristen Dunst. Yeah, she's fine in it. That's also a unique thing where it's like it was his girlfriend, her sister. And I like that for once he's not killed the same time as the other person. That was kind of unique.
Well, that concept, like that is a pretty cool story. Him dying by falsely accused of his lady's murder. That is a cool, interesting story.
Mm-hmm. What's the time frame on bringing people back? Because Eric, it was a year.
Yeah, it was a year after his death on the anniversary.
And then like Ash, it was just like the next day.
Yeah, literally, he because Danny, like, they even started decomposing.
Yeah, Danny's not even decomposed. He's,
and it always makes it seem like it happens like they hit the wall, like they die, they throw him in the river, but then the movie seems like they throw him in the river and then like immediately he's like heading back up for his afterlife. You're like no time in between.
Yeah, there's that, and then this is just like they literally put him in the freezer and he just wakes up. I'm like, why did they take Eric a year? What was the point of that?
Like, what the fuck were you doing, Eric? Just chilling? Like, how important was this?
So yeah, I mean, he's got a little bit of a mystery to go through. He wants to know who killed his girlfriend, who was the goth looking chick from Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
That's all I know her from. The mystery was a little convoluted.
Yeah.
So basically, her dad was in business with some bad dudes. She went to the weird webcam dungeon. Early webcams. That was fun. And she witnessed a murder. And then she ran away. And then she was weird with her boyfriend, who I'm sure has a name. And then they killed her and they framed him. And all he knows is that someone with a scar on his hand left the knife in his car. He didn't look at his face or anything. He just saw that.
What were the bad
guys doing with the? I know they killed someone. What was their business other than weird webcam stuff?
I don't know. Because that's another thing is why would the police chief be there in the first place? We didn't see him. So why would he be there to stash the knife there? It just didn't make it. The tying someone else that you don't know yet into it just doesn't make sense for this movie.
And then like the police chief is like pissed at the guys for like getting people investigating them. But it's like, why did the police chief like show off his scar at the execution? And why is Eric or whoever his name is? What is his name? Well, his real name is Eric. The actor's name is Eric. That's
Alex.
Alex.
Alex, yeah.
Why is Alex so focused on his arm and never looks at his head? Look at his head.
And also, like, what the fuck is he doing to his arm? Just putting nails into his arm, and why?
Well,
like,
he puts nails into someone else to trick the guy.
But it's like, so now you're adding like a self-mutilation turn onto it.
I don't know. I think they're just going for some kind of like dark shit.
Well, it's like, so you get you have the first one or whatever, and you have like that group of bad guys, and then you get City of Angels where it's like a little culty, but not like full culty. And then you take a turn on this, and now you're like, bad guy cops with also like a mutilation / webcam kink thing. What are we doing here? Where are we going?
I know they were like crooked cops and whatnot, but Yeah, toward it gets weird at the end. So they
Yeah.
fake out the crow, they kill him, or they think they kill him, and then they're gonna like dissect his body in the taxidermy room because he said he's heard of people like this before. And then he's got some like lady with him who's also in the know with all of this.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's like, I feel like we added a lot of lore at the end here.
Yes.
That's not being fully fleshed out. Like, what's his deal? Like, why does he care about any of this?
Literally, they should have just, like, all that BDSM, like, mob body mutilation stuff, they could have just kept that out of the movie because it serves no purpose in the movie at all, except for the fact of, like, give us an excuse to fake his death.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only real purpose it serves.
Yeah. Speaking of BDSM stuff and whatnot, I was just to circle back to City of Angels. The weird, he just has like girls in gimp suits just off in the corner. And then he's got a hallway of just girls in sheets going like this.
Yeah.
It's such a weird element. And then they sadly hold on to it through the other movies. And you're like, you really tried here and it didn't work.
Oh, yeah, they focus a lot on titties on the third one.
Oh, yeah. They went all in on titties.
Hey, we got titties.
Which I'm sure we all appreciated. I was like, well, you know, some extra points for this. Some extra points. But no, the lead, Alex, he's just not good in this.
No. Like I said, they should have just, like, I would say, invested. Hell, if they would have invested a little bit more money in a better actor, the movie could itself be better if they got a better character to play Alex.
Yeah, I just can't get over his face. Like when he sees the arm at the end, he's like, it's over.
Yeah.
And so now the fact that you think it's over, you're going to die, like you're giving, that doesn't make sense. But technically, it's not over.
Yeah.
So, like,
the crow should come out and talk, but they won't let the crow talk in any of these movies.
Oh, God, they should have done that.
The comics, he talks constantly.
I know that, like, that's one
He
thing.
won't shut the fuck up in the comics, to be honest.
I know that sounds hokey, but to be honest, I mean, we're already doing stupid BDSM stuff. Like, you can have a talking bird. You can add a talking bird to this.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, on the story level, I like that he's trying to solve his own murder. He doesn't know who everyone is. He's questioning them.
Yeah.
I think at one point they start killing each other just to like get everyone off his tail. They throw the one guy out the window.
Yeah, and then they like kill her dad because whatever, I guess, in case he like leaks that information. So then they're all turning on each other. And yeah, it's like a who's who. And then, too many twists and turns. It drags you through too much.
And I still don't understand, why was her whole dad in on it? Like, why?
That was a good question.
Why did her dad be okay with the innocent man dying even though you know who killed your daughter? Like, why are you okay with that? I don't get it.
I feel like a lot was left out. Maybe this was just a first draft. I feel like it needed to be polished a little bit more.
And then also, like, Kirsten Dunst has so many chances to, like, shoot people.
Yeah.
But, like, every single time just, like, doesn't do it. And you're like, just literally, like, pull the trigger, girl. Like, you let him get so close to you that he just, like, snatched it out of your hand. Like,
also, they don't recognize him. His face is not that much different.
Know, right?
I think I know you. It's like, you watched this guy die on
like
death
literally
row.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday you saw him. But even Kirsten Dunst, she's just like, you're friends with that guy. You even look like him. Like, it's the same person.
Yes. The stupidity of these people. I'm like, he doesn't even have face paint. It's just scars.
Yeah.
So he literally is the same fucking dude with scars.
Same hair, everything.
Same clothes that he died in. And you guys still can't... come on, now. You ain't that stupid.
And also, all of a sudden, like, now that he's dead, he, like, channels his inner Spider-Man. And, like, so wants to put up on these weird poses and, like, hang out on, like, freaking, like, tombstones and shit. And, like, I just don't understand. What direction were you going with this?
And then there's the scene where he's trying to prove that he didn't kill her. So he gives Kirsten Dunst the memory of the murder.
Yeah.
But then he's like yelling at her during it, like as if
Yes.
she was responsible. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is, could you not, you asshole?
Yeah.
I give you the power of her. Like, as long as you have this locket, you have your connection to her. Like,
But then he's also like 57 stab wounds. Like he's giving her all the feelings that her sister felt. And it's just like, damn, dude, she don't deserve that.
Yeah, really.
She's not the bad guy, Alex, you asshole. Oh, yeah, the locket. You're connected to her. And they're like, oh, but when you give him the locket back, he'll get his powers back.
and then also they sew her mouth shut at the end of the movie and like.
Oh, I felt bad for her. It looked like she had a mustache the whole end of that film. I felt really bad. I'm
They
like,
did it wrong.
oh, why did you do that to the poor girl?
That's funny.
Yeah, I would have just done duct tape. I'm like, are we really gonna leave? It looks like a
Yeah,
mustache.
again with the mutilation, it's like this is a far reach here.
Yeah. Well, at least she's fine at the end of the cemetery. Her mouth is completely healed.
Yeah, like it never happened.
Yeah. 2 comic book movies that end in a cemetery with her.
Yep.
It felt like I was watching Spider-Man all over. Yeah, I agree with you. Bigger budget, maybe a couple more rewrites. They might have had something, but
They had some that had Walton Goggins.
they had Walton Goggins. Oh, and the douchey cop in it, the touchy-feely cop, that is the vampire cop in the Blade TV series, which I am covering on Patreon.
Is that the Dell Midkiff?
I think so. I forget
Pet
his.
Cemetery.
Is he also in that?
Is it, if that's the guy I think of, like, that's the guy from Pet Cemetery, which is the worst part of Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, he's the guy who's trying to like get it on with the girls, and then
I think, if I can remember correctly, I think
Yeah.
that's the, I believe that's the one, yeah.
yeah. Well, he's we're going through every episode of the Blade TV series over on Patreon, or if you're a channel member at the $2 tier, you get every episode of the show and all the other bonus videos I've done.
No, y'all need to go with the $10 tier.
Yeah, oh, the $10.
I'm gonna upsell you. Get the $10
The
tier.
if you get the $10 tier, you can call into live shows and then maybe end up in the studio one day. Who knows?
One day.
never
Who
know.
knows?
At the $10 tier, you might be able to prove yourself more loyal than Gil from One Take, who doesn't show up to live episodes. Did you see Alien Isolation? I shit on him again because he wasn't going to do the other one. He's like, I gave you a heads up this time, man. Then he came on my show and he did a flop episode. Anyway, yes, he is the douchey vampire cop in Blaze. So he was douchey cop is like his thing.
Yeah.
Now he's mostly like a voice actor. Yeah, but Walton Goggins is in it. Is there anyone else of like note in this besides Fred Ward, William Atherton? Which Fred Ward we did every Tremors movie a long time ago. Check out that. Yeah. It's just William Atherton, Fred Ward, Kirsten Dunst, and then Walton Goggins. But like no one really.
And that's like early Walton Goggins.
Yes. But yeah, even Eric Mabius, I think he does like Hallmark movies or something now.
He was he on Chicago PD or something like that you were watching?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Maybe.
he was one of whatever the PD or hospital,
yeah.
whatever one of those that you watch. He showed up. I was
I
like, that's
watch
the
a
guy
lot
from
of
The Crow. Yeah.
You're like, it's the Crow. Like, which one? Well, it's the Salvation. It's like, oh, thanks, Logan, for pointing that
And
out.
she's also watching. I'm like, that's Casey Jones.
Yeah, I really liked his character in PD.
Yeah. When you saw Resident Evil, did you get up and go,
Yeah,
guys,
that's
that's the
Nemesis.
new Crow?
Nemesis. That's
Nemesis is the Crow. And they're like, sit down. We're trying to watch a shitty movie.
Well, that's the sad thing. Hell, this movie was supposed to be. It was going to be released in theaters. And they pulled it like 2 weeks before its release.
Yeah.
Like, now we're going direct to video.
I mean, it looks like a direct-to-video.
Oh, it does. The fact that they thought they were
I
gonna
will
put it
say,
in
you know
theaters.
what's funny, though? Like, back then, direct-to-video movies were at least like shot on film and had good lighting. Like there's direct-to-video movies from like the early 2000s where at the time I thought they looked bad, and then you watch shit on Tubi and you're like, oh man, I'm missing the 90s 2000s direct-to-video where they kind of look like real movies.
Yeah, that's like I said, this thing, like biggest, like you said, like the money. If they would have put a little bit more money into this movie, literally, and that's the thing is, once again, they just cut the budget by $2 million.
Well, I mean, I get it. I don't think City of Angels did well.
Yeah, no, it
yeah.
didn't.
So I understand in that case. It's weird that they cut the money after the first one.
That didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
You made this movie, they made almost like I think like $300-something million.
Yeah.
You're gonna cut the budget to it?
Yeah, it made a shit ton of money. Yeah, so Salvation, it did not save this franchise, but that's okay. I mean, I kept praying for a better Crow movie, and it turns out I did a wicked prayer. That was a smooth transition, not at all. Yes, the Crow Wicked Prayer came out in 2005. I had a friend in high school who like really loved The Crow and the sequels, and he was talking.
Logan?
Huh?
Was it
Yeah, it was my
Logan?
friend Logan. No, and he was like, super excited for this movie to come
I was.
Oh man.
When I found out,
you would have been best friends with him.
I was at a concert and this guy, like, I had a Crow shirt and the guy was like, "Oh, do you know they're coming out with a new one?" I'm like, "What? They're coming out with a new one?" They're like, "Yeah, the guy from Terminator's in it." I'm like, "Holy shit!"
You were like, "Holy shit, Arnold Schwarzenegger."
No, the guy from American History X. Like, Edward Norton.
Ed Norton's the Crow. Yeah, Crow Wicked Prayer. I have a little description here. Tara Reid, tail end of her A-list career. David Boreanaz and Edward Furlong star in this epic tale of death, revenge, and redemption. After ex-con Jimmy and his girlfriend, Jimmy Cuervo, Crow, and his girlfriend are brutally murdered by a biker gang. Jimmy is resurrected by the power of the Crow to avenge his girlfriend's death and reunite with her in the afterlife. I had not seen this till today. I thought I had seen it, but after watching it today, I'm like, I think I would have remembered seeing this. I will say director Lance Mungia. He's gone on to direct some things after this, but he directed Six String Samurai. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's a really cool movie. I mean, the story is whatever, but it's a very stylized movie where a guy who looks like Buddy Holly, who has a samurai sword, is in a 1990s post-apocalyptic Vegas just killing dudes. It was a very like cool film. So I get why they had him. And there's a lot of stuff in this, especially early on, reminds me of his style for that film. Just not as good as that film. Oh, buddy. Out of all of them, this is the one that I think is trying to be the most different. Again, it feels like he wanted to make a wacky whatever, and they're like, you got to work some Crow stuff into this. And once again, the Crow shit does not work well into this at all.
No.
But yeah, so since you're the biggest Wicked Prayer fan, you have a tattoo of Wicked Prayer on your chest.
I do.
You have another one that says Edward Furlong does nothing wrong.
No.
What did you think of Wicked Prayer when it came out, and now?
So, like I said, when I first saw this, I've been looking for it, and none of the rental places in my area would carry it. So, like and at the time, Video Villa. I knew it's Video Villa, which is our channel, but like that was actually a video store called Video Villa. I was friends with a guy that was friends with the owner's nephew, and he just had a huge box of screeners, and they were all VHSs. And that's when he was like, "Hey, you want to go through this, see if there's anything you want to take home?" And I found it, and I was so pumped. I pulled. Now, mind you, like this is 2005, so I had already taken my VHS player out of my bedroom. I had my DVD player in there, so I go back and grab my VHS player. I hook it up to my TV. I'm sitting down. I'm so excited. I'm like, "Oh man, it's Saturday. I got nothing to do. I'll watch Wicked Prayer." And I put it in, and I turn it off after 15 minutes.
You couldn't even get through it?
No. It was... it's so bad. So... I couldn't... This was us watching it was the first time I watched it fully.
Oof,
we didn't. We took a break because it was so freaking bad.
No. It was like...
oh, my gosh.
We literally turned it off, and I was like, I got to put something on. Put Alf on. I got to watch something good here to get this out of my mouth. It's...
so bad.
Yeah, it's a rough one. It is rough. Although, like, having seen Six String Samurai, I'm like, okay, I'm liking some of this.
Yeah.
So maybe that will help you get through it like it did me. But yeah, so Tara Reid, this was kind of like the end of her A-list stuff. But she still looks great. And then they got Manuel Chiriqua. I can never pronounce her last name. One of the girls from Wrong Turn. Beautiful, gorgeous women. The hair, the makeup and dress people should be shot. They look terrible in this. I'm like, what is wrong? Why do they look... Tara Reid's got that weird, like, fake tan that's going way too hard.
Yeah.
Her hair.
And
I think that style's out by the time this movie is being filmed.
Well, then you also get, like, the boyfriend wearing pretty much the same thing as the brother wears in, is it 51st Dates? The netted t-shirt.
David Boreanaz' netted shirt,
Sam the Wild's
netted
shirt.
You're like, what the heck? And then Yeah.
They were all in on the clear lip gloss, but it just made them all look sweaty.
Yeah.
It made everyone look sweaty. I'm like, wow, you took like really good looking people and you're making them look terrible.
Well, even Logan was like, they're all so sweaty. And I'm like, well, maybe it's because it's the desert. I'm like, I don't know. Or it's their shitty makeup.
And then also the movie itself, like, so that was another thing. Like, I did like the comics and stuff like that, and I like the original comic book, and I really do like the first one, and I like them both on a different level.
Yeah.
And so, like, to find out then, like, oh, no, there's, like, tons of Crow novels. Not comics, Crow novels.
Yeah.
And that's what this one's based off of, a Crow novel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the writer of the book was Norman Partridge. So he gets a credit towards the writing on the movie, and he actually, I don't know if you remember this, but he actually wrote another famous book that got turned into a very graphic horror movie that I brought up on your channel.
Okay.
The Dark Harvest movie. He wrote the book.
I didn't see it.
No, I know, but it's really, that movie is freaking gory as hell.
Okay.
Like, it is super gory, and it's more. It came out last year. But he also wrote that book, and that book's actually not that bad.
Okay.
So it made me want to read this book, and you can read this book for $150.
The Wicked Prayer book?
There's no other way you can get it. There's no digital downloads, nothing. You have to buy it, and the cheapest copy I found on eBay was $150. Like, not for Tony. Sorry, not for Tony. I can't do it.
Man, there are things that in the last few years that I bought at the perfect time. Like, I have the Carnosaur novel. I'm not going to tell you where it is. It's definitely not in front of you in that cabinet. I bought the original Carnosaur novel for like maybe $60 on Amazon in like 2018. And then I looked like last year or the year or two ago, and it was just like hundreds of dollars. Now I think it went back down because they reprinted it finally.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, I bought that at the right time. Holy shit.
Yeah, this is not in reprint at all. At all.
I don't think people are really itching to read Wicked Prayer again.
Well, actually, if you look on like certain like book sites, it's rated decent. Like, it's got like a B rating.
No.
So like, it's like people that actually read the books liked it, and there's a lot more of the Native American stuff apparently in the book.
Yeah, that's the thing. The movie, all right. So the movie has more lore to it, supernatural wise, tied into Native Americans,
which could be cool.
And then you have a Satan worshiping gang led by David Boreanaz.
But he's the angel.
Yeah, I know.
He's the angel.
I was Angela from the show was a big Buffy fan. I was just sending her pictures of David Boreanaz.
All shirtless pitch, right?
Yeah. He is a Satan worshiper because his dad was a preacher who was killed by a Native American dude. And then he decided he loves Satan after that. And he's got 3 boys with him. They're the 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
He's death.
Tito Ortiz is in it. Famous UFC fighter.
Yes. There's death, pestilence, famine, and war.
Yeah.
And war is played by the dude from the
Matrix.
Matrix who got fired between movies because apparently he was a little weird on set or something. Like he was stealing shit or something. There you go, buddy. You got cut out of Matrix Reloaded, but you got to be in Wicked Prayer. I mean, neither are great movies, but at least Matrix Reloaded, people would have seen you more. Yeah, and they've all been wronged by the Native Americans. All of them.
Yeah, to be honest, the way they build it up is like, it's kind of hard to be like, okay, so they're putting the mining town out of business to build a casino.
Yeah.
I can understand why you might be a little mad.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go around shooting people.
No,
but,
killing innocent people. I wouldn't do that, but I can understand how you could be upset.
But I wouldn't be like, I'm so mad. I need to become the devil.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I feel like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Did you just say, I thought we were going to get like a lawyer, maybe do like a writer congressman. We're skipping right to becoming the devil. Okay. Also, I feel like the devil's got other things he's worried about. I don't think he really cares about this too much. It is a shit show, but we got our star, Edward Furlong.
Yeah.
Who's trying. He's trying. Can we all agree? He's really trying.
Like I said, when I first heard it, I was excited when I first heard it. And then we get slightly, probably, what's the word? He's probably taking methadone at the time to keep clean just to film the movie.
Probably, yeah.
Oh,
It's not great, but I can see he's like putting in effort
Yeah.
to do a good performance. Yeah, so the story is all over the fucking place with this. Whenever I feel like I'm settling into the story, I'm like, okay, I follow what's going on. They'll throw you like a curveball or something weird will start happening. Like at one point, so he's back to life. The crow brings him back to life, as it always does. We're going through classic crow stuff. I like that he shoots himself in the chest.
Yeah.
But the bullet exits out the back, and it wasn't like tilted or anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you guys want to do another take of that?
That's, what is the? That's the JFK bullet theory thing, right? It hit a bone, it ricocheted inside his body, and then went out the back.
I guess that's what happened. So it feels pretty standard, but then we're learning more about this devil shit. People are able to like melt hearts into dust, and okay, the blue-eyed Native American who has brown eyes the whole movie. She like they do a close-up on her and she has brown eyes and they're like, blue eyes. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a big thing where like Tara Reid's eyes are supposed to change, but like they look the same. Like her eyes, I think, are blue, but the other girl's eyes were not blue.
Yeah, and that's a part of that's a big part of the book.
Yeah.
That's a big part of they go in and explain like why. Like there is a lot to their backstory that we actually don't get in the movie. And it goes to like explain like the big essence of why she needed her eyes to finish whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Shit.
So the spell. Let me break down the demon spell for you. So they gotta kill two lovers. One of them's gotta steal the eyes. It's gotta be a shaman. They gotta steal a lady shaman's eyes. And the guy's got to steal the heart. And then they need to find a virgin. And then they got to bring the virgin to a place. And then they have to get married and then sacrifice the virgin. And then that will make the devil go into you. But then you have to have sex and stare into the eyes of the shaman while you're having sex before sunrise. And then you're the devil.
That's how we got married.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
On Halloween night.
Congratulations.
Surprise. That's what we do in our free time.
I feel bad for that virgin, but I mean, you know, true love.
He wasn't missed. It's all right.
Yeah.
And you better hope that the guy who dies isn't brought back by a crow. How the crow selects these people, unknown.
We're a few years out, so I think we're good now.
So yeah, I'm like, that was very, very convoluted.
Yes. Like, literally there was a point last night, because we finished it last night, that I was like, Logan, I don't know, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what? I don't even know what they're saying at this point. Like, when they're...
Oh, yeah, the dialogue. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You have to turn the subtitles on for the, like, all of a sudden they start talking weird once he becomes the Antichrist and shit. And it's like...
Don't fret, Fräulein. The apocalypse is gonna be one hell of a honeymoon.
He's just like, fuck this movie. I'm going to add to a bunch of wacky accents.
Yeah, and then also, like, the guy that's marrying him, which is technically just, like, a pimp for a cult.
I'm sorry. The guy?
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper?
Still.
Who shows up, like, I'm like, he should have been in the whole fucking movie. I love Dennis Hopper in bad movies. He's great.
Literally, like, he somehow makes it worse, because you're like, what are you doing and saying? And what is even happening here? And then he somehow used to be, like, Tara Reid's pimp, I guess.
It's her dad, I think. I think it's her dad slash
that's a
pimp.
twofer, it
It's
seems
her
like.
dad that she forced men to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so dad and
But
pimp. I don't,
you're saying it made it worse. I was just like, oh, thank
like,
God
it
this
made it
movie
better.
got good. Yes, Dennis Hopper. And was this in the book? Was he a jive talking gangsta priest?
I have no
Literally,
idea.
what is that? Like,
I was just like, in my heart of hearts, I want to believe he was just like, hey, I was just gonna talk all like a rapper.
Wicked ass props to you, Mr. OG. And thanks for representing all the homeboys.
yeah.
And they went, do whatever the fuck you want, Dennis Hopper. No one's watching
We're
this
just
movie.
happy to have you here.
We're the homeboys. He's calling the other devil worshippers the homeboys.
I want him to be like looking at him with the script, be like, now what you want to do in this moment, you want to actually say we're the homeboys. He go, okay. So like this, like I feel like he really committed. Like he really want to get that character just right for this
He's
film.
just like, oh, when he thinks he's the devil, he's like, are you the OG? And I'm like, what is this performance?
I mean, this is up there with Waterworld. It's pretty good.
As soon as he showed up and he's doing this wacky gangster thing, I'm like, how? If I was a producer, I'd have been like, shoot the whole movie, put him back. He needs to be there frame 1. Make him the main character. Fuck it.
Make him the fucking crow. At this
Make
point.
him the fucking crow. An elderly crow who's a jive talking. They killed my bottom bitch. And I love that, but you're right. It is a mess. And then, oh. So how's he going to get the crow makeup? What wacky thing will they come up with this time? And it turns out that there was going to be a raven. What?
A raven roost, I think is what they call
Yeah,
it. Rose
right, even
Fest.
though-
Raven Fest or whatever. It's like,
Even though it's a crow, that coaster's gonna fall. Yep, sorry. I'm realizing now my plastic coasters are sticking to the plastic cups. I'm
Have a
really
wet
sorry.
lap now.
I didn't pick
We're
up
good.
the other one. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I looked at it and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna drop. It's gonna drop. Yeah, the Raven Fest, which apparently years before it was Enchantment Under the Sea, and then that's where they really that whole plot line of how he killed someone earlier gets introduced we found out he went to jail and we didn't know why, and then it's because he accidentally killed a guy out of anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they keep calling him a killer, and it's like the last 1/4 of the movie. They're like, oh, this is why he's a killer, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving back. Like,
Yeah, it feels disorganized, like they move things around in editing.
And also, what's the bad guy's character's name again?
his name was Crash, I think.
Crash.
Yeah.
So the way it still didn't explain why. Okay, y'all were in together. Y'all were in the
Yeah.
whatever jail or whatever prison together. So y'all have a bond, but yet before this took his girl, like, because they
I
also
thought
made
they
the
were
fact that,
brothers.
No, they're not actual brothers.
yeah,
no.
because that's another thing is they made it act like, okay, you got the
Oh, sorry.
I love that sound.
What?
I love a special guest.
Yes. Okay. She was like, I didn't know there were people down here. Do you want to talk about the crow? I swear to God, she looks like she's going up the stairs. If she interrupts, I'm bringing you on camera if you interrupt one more time. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Well, the whole fact that like because they made a point where the bad guy liked his girl.
Yes.
But
I
you
think
took her from me. It's like, but he didn't make that clear because they were together before he went to jail.
Yeah, I think he liked her because she was like a shaman.
Oh, okay.
And it was part of the plan because his girlfriend, Tara Reid, has the devil book that is from her pimp dad who had it for some reason. Again, there was midway through, I'm like, okay, it's doing its own thing. And then it just kept throwing new shit at you. The one part that cracked me up, because no one's actually called him the Crow before.
Yeah.
And then he shows up at the prom. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish my thought. The makeup. How's he gonna get the makeup? And it turns out he was planning on going to the Raven Fest, and she made makeup for him, like Native American makeup.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. And we see the other natives with like makeup like him, like, but where did you get the idea for like the white paint? And like they just straight up made him look like Brandon Lee. A diet scrawny Brandon Lee.
Literally like the dollar store version.
Yeah.
Like,
And then also so he comes out of the trailer after drawing his face paint on with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
And he's just got the face paint. And then the next scene, all of a sudden he's got black lips. I'm like, so you're just sitting there like,
yeah. Hold up a second. Forgot these bad boys.
hold on a second.
But yeah, so at the big shooting at the Raven Fest, which looked like a school dance, I guess.
But also it was a bar too at the same
It was
time.
very confusing.
Like a saloon style bar. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so at the shooting, or like the attack there, Tara Reid goes, oh, he's the Crow.
He's the crow, like in the legend.
I'm like, wait, you know what the Crow is? Someone wrote that down in your devil book?
Yeah.
Does it have anything else in there? Like, what else? What the fuck? He's like, oh, yeah, he's the Crow. He's probably coming back to kill him. We should make you the devil soon, David.
Yeah. Like, gotta get on with it.
And they also have Danny Trejo in this movie, and they don't do nothing with him.
Well, he's the. Oh, what do you mean they do nothing with him?
Oh, they bring the crow back by dancing.
He hates. Whatever the Crow's name is in this. Sorry, they hate him. Because he thinks he's a bad guy, but then he finds out that he's actually good.
Yeah.
And to make up for it, he's like, well, this crow that was shot, I'm going to do a Native American dance to bring him back to life. And you get Danny Trejo tit bouncing in slow motion. What do you mean he did nothing?
And this is pre-Machete too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was showing up in direct to video. Like his character from Dusk Till Dawn 1 comes back, and from Dusk Till Dawn 2, he's not above direct to video at this point.
That movie, direct to video movie, far better than like Crow Salvation.
Oh, From Dusk Till Dawn 2 is decent.
Yeah.
Actually, we should do Best From Dusk Till Dawn at some point.
You can, because you also have the TV show.
Yeah, which was actually good.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
I liked it.
Was that a Netflix show or was that another channel show? Like IFC?
It was on the El Rey network, and then
Okay.
I think they put it on Netflix. We're gonna put a pin in that. We should do From Dusk Till Dawn at some
Put it in
point.
the list.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on the list. It's all over the place. So War at the end, he's like wearing dynamite and stuff. But then there's a point where they're acting friendly, kind of.
And also, he's getting shot at with fucking dynamite on him. Why has he not explode?
They are conveniently missing every part.
Yeah, and also, like, he's on a suicide mission, but unless I missed something, like, for what? What
don't
is his
know.
end goal here? Like,
Also, in that one scene where like he's just killing the innocent kids, like, why again? Why are you killing the children too as
Because
well?
his brother was in the mine that drilled too close to the water that the natives had, and they drowned. So now he's gonna shoot people up.
so everybody's just getting revenge in this one
Yes.
outside the Crow. It's like we're all seeking revenge on each other.
Yes,
so let's all just kill each other.
But also, the mine also leaks out toxic waste too. Like, there's so much shit going on at this mine.
So these guys want revenge on the Native Americans. But yeah, David Boreanaz, when he becomes the devil, kind of. What he's like doing, like weird Jim Carrey style all over the place impressions, and
yeah, and then Tara Reid's like trying to get it on. She's determined to like finish this spell, and he's like not about it. And then suddenly he's like, "Oh yeah, right now, right now."
Yeah,
and then, but just kidding. I like gotta kill this.
But
like,
and also her too. Like, she's also like trying to starting to show signs of remorse. I'm like,
yeah.
Why are all of a sudden you showing like you carved a girl's eyes out of her skull?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's because the sun was starting to rise, and she knew she was not gonna get the deed done. In
Oh yeah,
time,
she starts.
So she's
Dude, she
trying.
does a Hail Mary.
Yeah,
God.
and
She
it's
literally
like,
throws
bro,
a
you're
Hail
too
Mary.
late. Yeah, too late.
Yeah, but I love her thing with David Boreanaz. She's just like, no, you'll just be a husk, and I'll be white trash still.
Literally like their lines, the things that they say, and like the lack of effort in their lines makes it so much more cringy.
Well, like I said, this was the tail end of her A-list stuff.
Yeah.
This is after American Pie too. Like this
Yeah.
is when she's her because
The
social
last
media
breath.
social media wasn't really huge at the time, but she
Yeah.
would have had like a Lindsay Lohan style,
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes style thing if it was bigger. That poor girl.
What was,
I know.
was Josie and Pussycats? Was that like 2003?
That might have been before this.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I love Josie and
I like
Pussycats.
her and Josie and Pussycats.
Yeah, Josie Pussycat. Yeah, Tara Reid was a good actress.
Yeah.
No, great in those Sharknado movies. But this definitely was like whereas Kirsten Dunst did Salvation on her way up, Tara Reid's doing this on her way down.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the fuck
Yeah.
David Boreanaz is doing in this. I guess Valentine didn't take off, and he's like,
Well,
all
he
right.
was. I've no offense, but nothing against him. But he always had like, you don't got it, kid. You
Yeah.
got TV spunk. That's all you're going to be destined for. You're not going to be a lead character in a movie. And
Yeah.
there's nothing against that. You just have to realize that, own what you're good at.
Yeah. Remember, he loves the devil so much that he made deviled eggs and devil.
Yeah, and then you get the one scene, I forget his name, where he's just like, he's shoveling them back, like, no tomorrow. And they like,
The guy that's
hand
got
over-
cancer
Yeah.
from the mine.
Yeah, and he's just like, literally, like, the eggs are just oozing out of his mouth.
Oh yeah,
as
because
he's
he
eating
dies.
them.
Yeah.
He dies by putting in. He's
A bug zapper.
A bug zapper.
Yeah.
He electrocutes him to death by putting him into.
Well, I think he snaps his neck, too.
He stabs his neck,
Oh,
but
okay,
then
I
the
missed
bug
that.
zapper leaves an outline of a crow around him for no
Yeah,
reason.
Literally, like, a 12-inch large, if that bug zapper leaves a giant
Yeah.
crow thing. Again, we're reaching to get this crow stencil
Yeah.
here.
But you know what? They were like, okay, Kristen Dunst did Crow, and then she was in Spider-Man. What's a Spider-Man actor we can get? And they went, we can get Macy Gray. She was in Spider-Man 1 for 5 seconds. We can get her as a prostitute in this. And then someone went, can she act? And they went, what?
Yeah.
No, we got her. Yeah, because she act. That's irrelevant. She's
Yeah.
here.
She's a face.
What the fuck is Macy Gray
I have
doing?
no idea. Oh my god. And that's the thing is, like, I always thought Macy Gray, when you see her in interviews and stuff like that, I always thought she was doing a bit.
No.
And then I realized, no, I think that's just Macy Gray.
Yeah.
I think there might be something going on upstairs.
Or nothing. That might.
Because they were giving her so many lines. I'm like, who is this lady? I'm like, oh my God, it's Macy Gray.
I knew it was Macy Gray when I saw it. I told Becca about it, and I think you mistake her for someone else. They're like, no, Macy Gray's like a big actress. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, she's
No,
not.
Macy Gray is not a big actress.
No, I mixed her up with someone on like the early, I think Nickelodeon network.
Oh yeah, she was
with
like,
all
yeah,
that
she was
and
on
stuff.
all that. I'm like, no,
Or
she wasn't.
one of those like all that derivatives. And he's
Yeah.
like, no. And I'm like, then who is she?
She tries to walk away.
Yeah.
Sleep and I
that's the only
follow.
song.
Yeah.
It's the only song anyone knows, other than the Spider-Man one that you hear for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is a disaster. I kind of liked it in parts when it was being its own wacky direct-to-video, kind of all over the place action movie. It was fine, but then the Crow lore and the supernatural lore again doesn't work.
No.
Except for when Dennis Hopper is a jive-talking Satan pimp, which that should have been its own movie, to be honest.
Really?
Should have been the whole fucking movie should have been jive-talking Satan pimp.
Write it, Tony. You want it? Write it.
I
I'm
will
sure
do
he'll
it.
star in
I
it.
will do it.
You know people, Tony. Next summer.
The Weinsteins will come after me. They'll be like, we know you're taking the plot of our hit film, The Crow Wicked Prayer. Yeah, so final thoughts. It's a disaster, but
yeah,
it's
This
kind of
one's-
fun to laugh at.
Yeah, this one's shitty.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But it's kind of entertaining. I don't know. You said you turned it off after 15 minutes. And back in 2005, I'm like, nah, let's see how bad it gets.
Well, when it gets to Edward Furlong's dialogue, I'm like, why is he speaking in only quotes now? Like, I'm confused. Like, that wasn't part of his character, and now it is. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's,
I will
I don't know.
I will say, go back and watch Six String Samurai. I might want to rewatch it now, having watched this film. But yeah, so the Crow, who is a character known for coming back to life, dies for over a decade. Almost 20 years, but don't worry, this year we get The Crow.
I'll never be alone.
We don't have, it's not on box yet, so we can't read the plot. The Crow is back, baby, and this time it's Bill Skarsgård.
It was going to be Jason Momoa, then Bradley Cooper at one point in time. Well, Bradley Cooper first, I think, then Momoa.
Jason Momoa made it to screen test.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like 8 days away from shooting.
It
And
looked great.
Yeah.
It looked great.
Yeah.
Like, I will say it looked great, but it had the vibe of City of Angels based off the screen test.
Yeah.
Lead
Now,
to release.
A lot of people want it to go into this movie super negative. They wanted to shit on it right away. They were like, why are they remaking it? Why are they remaking it? It should have just been its own Crow. And me, I'm just like, well, they tried that 3 times. You guys didn't like it either. I just want you to know. Here's what it has to do with the... here's what they took from the original movie. His name is Eric. Her name is Shelley.
Yeah.
And that's it. Here's what it takes from the original novel. There's a horse and barbed wire. He has a katana. And the super excessive violence, which I appreciated.
Yes.
And that's it. It's basically its own movie. Again, we've got another revenge flick that is awkwardly trying to shoehorn supernatural Crow lore, but because J.O. Barr never actually spelled things out. By the way, J.O. Barr or James O'Barr? When did he switch to James O'Barr? It's really been bothering me that he's going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, mine, everything I have had, and now this is another, like, the original stuff, but, like, all mine, like, I think my original reprint was from 2001 of the trade, and that says James O'Barr on it.
Here we have, this says James O'Barr. Yeah, so at some point he must have switched to James O'Barr. I don't know why, but it's really been bothering.
Because he's really, to be honest, he's only written 3 stories. There's only 3 real credited stories that he wrote. He wrote the sequel. I can't remember, it was called Dead Time or whatever. And then like I don't know, like 5 years ago, he wrote another book.
Okay.
That was based off of like I think World War II, and a soldier became the Crow, and it had really good reviews. Once again, it's another book that's out of print, so you gotta buy a trade of it and spend a little bit more money than you should. But like, I still have not like found it yet. But like that's one like I looked into the synopsis and it seems really interesting, like really really interesting. Because I mean he drew a lot, but like as far as like like he's not like like a Frank Miller that went off to just make tons of shit.
As much as we like that original book, the writing is kind of all over the place. I can see why the movie got other writers to kind of like work it into something. But yeah, so this one, what'd you call it? The Shelley, no last name as far as I can tell, has evidence that a guy did a bad thing.
Yeah,
and she purposely puts herself into rehab to hide from bad men. There she meets Eric, who was sad that a horse was in barbed wire one time and became a drug addict, I guess. They decide to break out of there because she's being hunted, and they're going to go into hiding. And by hiding, I mean they're going to be as public as possible every chance they get. They're going to be doing drugs in public, partying, even though...
By hiding, you go back to a place where people can find you. They know you.
Yes, exactly. That's what I meant by hiding. And they'll develop a relationship, but eventually the bad guys will get to them, kill them, and then he comes back as the Crow and avenges her death to try and save her. She's going to hell. I'll explain that in a minute. And he's got to save her before her soul goes to hell, and he has to do that by killing bad guy. Everyone is hating this. What did you think?
I liked it.
What, you liked it?
No, I liked it. I liked it. We both left the theater. And I will break down what I like about it and stuff like that. But there are things I don't like about it. But I'll rewatch this. I'll rewatch this more than after all the shit show we just went through.
And you agree with this?
Yeah, I like it.
Bill Skarsgård is shirtless a lot in it.
Well, also, like, they're both very, like, Shelley and Eric in this are both very attractive, and I liked, like, the kind of, like, artsy turn that they took in some of the scenes and stuff like that. It made it very appealing.
So this is the guy who did Ghost in the Shell.
Great movie.
Everyone loves Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, people hate that movie.
People hate that movie. They didn't like. They just didn't like seeing a Jewish woman on screen.
Nah.
I'm pretty sure that's what the controversy was, right? Was
that
that what it was? I know
I'm
they didn't
sure.
like Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, oh, they must all be anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm sure that's what the I'm sure I'm remembering that right.
Yeah, no.
And then he did
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yes, where he got what's her face, Kristen Stewart, to cheat on Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my knowledge. I've seen 2 movies of his that I'm just whatever about.
Well, I would say, like, for example, Snow White and the Huntsman. If you're going to see a movie like this movie's going, like, I'm looking to have a good time. First off, why are you going to see in the first place? You already know, like, is the story even compelling enough to make you want to watch the movie? Yeah. It's one of those movies, like, for example, if it's on FX on a Sunday afternoon, you don't change it. You just kind of see how it goes because he's got a very visually appealing style. Because Ghost in the Shell, even though the whole controversy about it, there are stuff verbatim from the movie. Yeah. And the original, and it's shot so beautiful.
I remember it was a good looking movie.
And the action scenes are top notch. Yes, the ending has been flipped and stuff like that. But as far as like, if you actually go back and just watch it, it is a good action film, to be honest. I think it's better than like some of the comparisons. Like, I think it's better than Attila.
Alita.
Attila
was the Hun who killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Alita was the movie that everyone pretended to like, despite Captain Marvel. And then Disney ended up buying Fox, and now they own Alita. So all of that fake praise for a movie no one actually fucking saw, and Disney won in the end. Way to go, guys! People were legit pretending they loved that movie. They're like, "Don't see God, see Alita." I watched the last 20 minutes of the movie at a gym, and I went, "This looks like shit."
No, no offense, the effects on that film were. I'm like, is she supposed to look like a Pixar character? I don't understand. I don't know.
Robert Rodriguez. That really went from being one of my favorite action directors. And now when I see his name on stuff, I'm like, I'll skip it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does the Crow now. It really is its own movie. I don't think I liked it as much as you guys. I mean, you're hardcore Crow 2024 fans. You're getting the tattoos, I'm sure.
I understand. I can understand. Like, I have receipts for the reasons why.
However, like you guys, I'm not going around saying it's like the worst thing ever. People are hating this.
They're comparing it to Borderlands right now, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's the same studio, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're really batting 1,000 right now. That's why they're bringing that up. Like, wow, twice in 1 month they just released bombs. Yeah, people are really, really hating it. And again, I get it's not a great movie. Maybe not even really a good movie.
Yeah.
But people were acting like it's the worst thing ever. And I'm just like, have you guys seen a lot of movies? I mean, I've seen movies worse than this. Like, just on an action level, this one's pretty decent, especially that opera fight.
The third act, the third act alone, I think, to be honest, saves a lot of the movie. The third act.
Yeah. Talking about things that were left out, the over-the-top violence.
Yeah.
Like, the comic is very violent. He's chopping heads off and stuff. So that opera fight, I'm like, oh, I'm finally seeing that extreme level of violence there. And FKA Twigs.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best actress in the world. She's not an actress. She's a singer. I get it.
She is very pretty, though.
To their credit, they really, because one thing in the book, you constantly see flashbacks to their relationship.
Yes.
And like little moments that they had. Whereas the original movie didn't really do too much. And I don't know if they just never got around to shooting
those were the last 6 days of shooting before he passed.
It's not that movie's fault. I get it.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see them actually develop a relationship, even though they're both stupid as hell.
Yeah.
You're not hiding. Get out of there.
I know, right?
Yeah, so they have that from the comic where they actually develop the relationship, whether you like it or not. I agree with both if you like the relationship or not, but at least it was developed. Yeah, and he got to use a katana.
Yeah.
And then there was a horse and barbed wire, which is that's just like nightmares Eric is having in the book.
I like it's supposed to also compare to like the fact that like, okay, so his mom was a freaking drug addict and the only thing that he cared about was that horse.
In the movie.
And then they're like the horse somehow gets caught up and sick in the. I don't understand that part.
I think it's just they looked at the book and they're like, "What did the first movie not use?" Well, there's this horse and barbed wire. Throw it in.
Yeah.
Get it in there.
Give it a shot.
Brandon Lee didn't want to have a katana, so the bad guy had it. They're like, well, fuck it. Bill Skarsgård's got that katana now.
Yeah. Roles the reverse.
Yeah. So yeah, he becomes the Crow, and this supernatural stuff. So there's a bad guy who made a deal with the devil. Was it David Boreanaz? We don't know. He made the deal with the devil to give the devil innocent souls. And he has a voice that can make you like kill yourself and kill other people to corrupt you.
Yeah, I think what it is my understanding was what he can do, he's control you to do something that would make, I guess, in the eyes of the Lord, condemn your soul. Either kill people.
I feel like God's a little smarter than that, but okay, I get
I'm just
it.
saying, like, it just seems like a lot of things, like, they definitely, you can tell you have a religion in there, because there is, like, a hell. They make it very clear, that, like, these souls are going to hell, so then there's got to be a heaven to take these souls out of hell to send to, you know what I mean?
So they kind of work, because again, the Crow and all these other movies is kind of random, just picking random people to bring back. So in this one, they're like, her death was unnatural. And you were her lover. You were killed at the same time. So we were picking you to avenge them. And speaking of things that weren't used in the book, they decided to actually give him a guide this time, a spirit guide.
Yeah.
And they made it just some guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, but what the thing with him is, either, I don't know, are you trying to do an American accent? Do you have a foreign accent? If you do, just speak in your natural tone. Yeah. That's the thing. People were going in and out of accents all through this movie.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård sounded weird in this.
That's the other thing is like my thing is like, okay, it doesn't really feel like we're in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if I think we almost told the end of the credits, but I don't think this was filmed in the U.S.
No, it wasn't. I forget. I looked up where it was, and I'm totally blanking on it.
I don't know if it was Canada or something like that. I can't remember.
I think it was somewhere in Europe.
But the thing is like, so that's fine. Like, just because, like, we don't need an American accent.
Yeah.
So like, I just rather these people like speak in their normal accent. I think the movie would have been portrayed. The lines of dialogue would have came off a little bit better, less than choppy and kind of like bad acting.
But like, what was he? I assume he is a former crow, but why is he there?
Yeah, that's the thing is he's supposed to be the he's not the Skull Cowboy, but technically he's our Skull
so
Cowboy.
The writers of the first one, and they didn't actually even like the Skull Cowboy.
No, they thought it was hokey.
They felt like they had to use him because it was from the book, so they were kind of like, I mean, they don't like the circumstances for why they had to rewrite, but they were kind of glad to get rid of him. But they were like, all right, let's make this make sense. They're like, what if he was a previous crow who failed in his missions, and now he's cursed to help other crows? That's one way you could do it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what they were going for in this. But it just wasn't explained.
My thing, to be honest, I don't even think Eric was brought back to save Shelley and redeem her. I think he was really just brought back to kill Danny Houston.
Yes, but if he kills Danny Houston, he's able to save her soul.
Exactly. I think, like, literally, I don't think it had anything to do with. I think it was just like whoever the powers that be wanted that guy dead.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay, you died and your soul's damned. We'll give you the opportunity to get it back.
Eric can now go in between Earth and the spirit world.
Yeah,
he has some extra powers, I guess.
Well, technically he died.
Yeah,
and that's why he went back into the spirit world.
Yeah,
and then he
can go in and out now.
Yeah, I guess
it's very confusing. Yeah. But yeah, so he's on his mission. And again, for most of this movie, like 80% of this movie is just revenge action flick.
Yeah, to the point.
Yeah.
He's a musician, like the first one, apparently. Someone said he was a rapper, but I never got that dialogue that he stated.
Nah, I think he was just making beats.
Yeah, I mean,
it was very updated for now. Yeah. Whereas like 90s was into grunge rock. Yeah. I know people were hating on it. I'm like, well, if you're gonna update it, might as well make it like what's popular now. But also, it's like, oh, maybe the Crow only worked in this particular decade with this style. Maybe you can't update it.
He's working on a SoundCloud.
Yeah. So again, I appreciate that it wasn't really trying to remake the original. It doesn't really feel like a remake at all.
No, not at all. It really does. To be honest, I feel like all these people complain about it. If you would just change the names, I don't feel like there would have been that as many complaints.
Yeah, and I don't even think they say Eric Draven, to be honest.
No, I think it's just Eric. Literally, I think it is just Eric.
Just Eric Bird Geisen. That's his name.
Eric Malone.
Yeah, Eric Malone. Yeah, people really didn't like his look with the tattoos. It was very Suicide Squad, but I guess that is what's popular. So.
And apparently, did he try to? Was he a cutter or did he try to commit suicide? I didn't understand that because you see the scars on his arm. Like,
I think it goes either way. He definitely tried to commit suicide.
Okay. That's what I was saying. There was like, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Is that why he's in this rehab technically? Like,
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, it's just the supernatural stuff just doesn't work for me. Danny Houston as the bad guy was lame.
Yeah.
His powers. We can't let this video go out of me killing this girl. It's only on one cell phone.
Well, that's the thing. He's not even killing anybody.
Yeah, I know, he doesn't want evidence that he's been around.
He witnessed it, I guess. Yeah. He was in the same room and that it still doesn't explain.
But it's just
who the hell is this guy?
That camera wasn't secret. It was like here. Yeah. Like, how did you not know you were being filmed, you dumbass?
It was like vlogging style. Like someone was vlogging what they were doing. And then also like one of the kids like then sent it out. That's how Shelley got it on her phone. So it's like, why would you send out a video of people murdering people? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was confusing. Then we find out like her mom sacrificed her to him so she could become famous. And she's got just big pictures of herself everywhere where I'm like, all right, I'd probably do the same thing. Maybe not sacrificing the kid part, but having big pictures of myself.
Like,
I can get down with that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wait, you do, Tony. They're upstairs. In the living room.
Shut up. Yeah, so again, just an action flick, whatever. That opera fight again was so fucking cool.
Oh, and actually, I'm not gonna lie, I jumped in the theaters when that thing came out of his mouth.
Yeah, it was cool.
It actually scared me.
It was cool.
Well, that's good.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah.
That's like where he jams the katana in the guy's jaw.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so good.
I like don't really do a whole lot of gore.
Yeah.
And so neither of us had any idea this was even coming. And I'm like, oh my gosh. First off, like the only head I want to see get chopped off is Ghost Ship. That's the only head I don't mind at the jaw length getting chopped off. But yeah, it was definitely like, he was just killing everybody. It like went beyond revenge and he was like, fuck it, you all die because you all are here. So who gives a shit?
That scene was so amazing. Literally, like I said, if people that don't like this movie, I would say, you got at least like the third act. I mean, come on, that's the
well,
entire
like that
opposite.
fight scene at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever watch this again, but I'll probably put on that fight scene.
Yeah. It's like 5 minutes of just straight, just people getting chopped to pieces, essentially. Just
so
shot
good.
and
Yeah,
chopped.
so good.
And so just overall, the movie's just whatever. Like, I'm not going to say it's great. Like, the ending was super weird, where it's like, all right, so he accomplishes his mission, but he, like, it's one or the other now.
But here's another thing that I don't understand with that ending, because when he comes back and he goes, my life for hers, he says you'll still never be able to see her again.
Yeah.
So technically, even when Shelley passes from this life and goes wherever, she's still not going to be reunited with him.
But he thinks they might. But so him saving her resets to the moment of death.
That doesn't make sense to me at all.
And then and then that guy, the crow dude, is like the EMT, and it's like
he fought really hard for you.
Yeah. So does it reset? Because I assume all those bad guys still live in this new timeline. Is she going to be Lady Crow who kills them, or
I really don't. That part, like that, like she's. I don't know. Like for some reason, like they should have just brought her back and like maybe this just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
To me. Not really. Like this is hard. Like is like yeah, is Danny Houston still alive? I mean,
yeah,
can't
it's very.
be.
And then Danny Houston finding out that the crow exists is like, I'm going to take his power. So it's like City of Angels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he kind of does. His voice works on him a little bit.
Yes, by stealing his powers, but apparently his love for
Shelley
was so strong he was able to overcome it before the transformation was complete.
Yes.
However, then there's one point where he questions his love for her.
Yeah.
Almost like in City of Angels, where he's like, I mean, my kid, but like, you're also pretty hot. Maybe I can let you go. And then there's one point where he's like, well, do I love her? Because like the video and shit.
Because like, that's a new element. They added that element to the storyline. The whole like your love has to stay strong.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't in any of the other like the temptations or any like that were not going to even be brought up. Like I don't know. Like I don't mind it. Like I said, like I don't mind that the fact that they changed it up a little bit. It's still kind of like it does hurt the movie a little bit. Where it's just kind of, this really don't make sense.
And then my favorite thing: how does he get the makeup? And at first they showed it in the preview where like all the crows go into him to give him like powers and stuff. And he's like bleeding from his eyes. I'm like, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
But then he comes back to life and he's just got some like, after his friend died and that awkward scene where he's just sitting next to his dead friend, like it's all comedic. And I'm
all
like,
the people
I feel like
he killed. And
and I'm like, this feels like this is a weird time to put comedy. Like that's his, I get like telling the corpse to hold the cigarette of the guy he killed, but like your
poor friend.
Your friend's just sitting there like dead. Like it's just awkward. But then he just gets like makeup from a tattoo because he never got to finish a tattoo on his hand that she wrote. Then he finished it and then he's like, I'm gonna put some makeup on I want to put some tattoo ink on my eye and now I'm Crow. And then the jacket, so they're at their friend's apartment who's not there. They conveniently go in the friend's apartment and trash it, by the way.
Yeah.
Bunch of assholes. Putting champagne everywhere. And they found out he had a nice black jacket. And when he goes there to get the phone, he's like, I'm going to wear this jacket so I look like Crow. The crow looks weird without long hair. If you're going to do the jacket and everything, it looks weird without long hair. But yeah, it's not bad enough to get upset about.
Yeah.
I will say, I understand if people don't like it, I get it. But it, like you said earlier, I mean, there's a lot of fucking shitty movies out there.
Yeah.
And this, no offense, this ain't that bad. It ain't great, but it ain't that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing really much more I want to. Do you have anything else you want to say about it? I think I.
No, I mean, like I said, there's like the elements that I like. You know, there's a lot of elements that I do like about it. Like, first off, I didn't really care. Like, all right, you just met this bitch. Now you're really gonna die for this girl. But then I'm like, all right. Puppy dog love. That first, when you first falling for someone, you fall pretty hard. All right, maybe I can convince myself, like maybe it's somewhat, and that would make sense once you find, oh no, this bitch is a murderer. I don't know if I like her. You know what I mean? I kind of get that. It would have been nice where you're like, well, why don't we just like fast forward like 6 months after in hiding? Yeah. And then they caught up with you. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I mean, like I said, like I understand there are some complaints with the movie, and I get that. But there are a lot of things in the movie, I think, like, it is very beautiful, very well shot. I think it's very, like, I mean, I like the style. a lot of people were complaining about the soundtrack. To be honest, this soundtrack is more of a Crow soundtrack than all the others. Because first off, the soundtrack, you got Joy Division in the soundtrack. Yeah. Joy Division was James O'Barr's like favorite band.
Okay.
It makes sense that it's in there. Gary Newman is in it. What's called? I mean, like you got Enya. Like that's like it. When you're watching it, it's got a vibe, and the vibe is very, like I said, it's very. It just feels good. Like, but you know, I get some of the storylines is muddy. Yeah, it really doesn't make sense.
The story is all over the place when it comes to the supernatural stuff, as it often does with these, and the characters just not knowing what hiding is.
Yeah, and there is dumb things that are there's things here that someone should have like. That don't make sense. Well, that's dumb. Let's change that.
What's your main takeaway from Crow 2024? Is it movie of the year, or should it get Best Picture? Oh, okay.
No awards. I just like the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
Like, especially the beginning portion. Once he like becomes the Crow, then the aesthetic like kind of like goes out the window. You're like, okay, now we're checking off all the other boxes that they're supposed to check off. But yeah, the aesthetic gets me. I'm easy to please. If you got a good aesthetic, I'm like, good enough. Moving on.
I feel like you would watch a movie like, I don't know, Space Cadet and think it was good.
Probably, maybe. I don't think I've watched it.
You did watch it. That's the movie I told you about, and you're like, I was like, I think you like this movie. You're like, oh yeah, I did.
Emma Roberts. She tries to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, we're all like, that movie's awful.
I think you literally stopped watching it and you came in the next day and I was finishing it. I'm like, I like it.
Well, I started talking to her. She kept on pausing. She's like, I'm like, what? And she's like, I actually want to watch this. I'm like, fine, I'll go upstairs.
Enjoy Space Cadet.
Yeah.
Crow is better than Space Cadet. Well, at least.
Yes.
You put that on the poster. It's better than Space Cadet.
Although two different genres, yes.
Still. So that brings us to the end of the video where we have to decide what is the worst Crow movie. It's actually pretty hard now that I think about it. So
really?
Yeah, what do you think is the worst Crow movie?
Wicked Prayer. I like it. It started to irritate me. I literally was like, "What the fuck are they saying? They're giving me a headache." Like, it started out okay, but then like I said, they introduced like the cult kind of aspect in City of Angels, and then they pull it back a little bit, but keep the whole like weird sex shit in Salvation. And then Wicked Prayer, they're like, "Do you want weird cult shit and weird sex shit? Let's just all put it in this one."
We got you.
Yeah. It's like, what? What do you guys do? You went way too far off the deep end here. So that's my vote.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think is the worst Crow movie?
It's Wicked Prayer.
Oof. I'm sure people are like, why aren't they picking 2024? I'm like, because it looked like a movie. Yeah, for me, let's see. I want to agree with you guys, but I'm sorry, Jive Talking Dennis Hopper saved the movie.
I knew it, Tony.
So I'm picking,
I was like, you like this guy too much.
It was like, Wicked Prayer, Dennis Hopper. I'm like, oh, sorry, Salvation. I'm throwing you to the wolves. Yeah, Crow Salvation. What's upsetting about that is that on a story level, it had potential, and then it still flopped. And also, Eric Mabius's face bothers me. So I'm going with Salvation, even though it's probably Wicked Prayer. I will never hate on Dennis Hopper's Jive Talking Gangster Priest. Pimp, it's so good. How could you not like it?
I knew you were sold on that.
Well, that's where most of the budget went to, is to get Dennis Hopper.
Deserved every penny.
And they waited till the end because they were like, I feel like we lost everyone at this point, but let's bring them back. Let's bring the fans back.
But yeah, again, it's probably Wicked Prayer, but I'm saying Salvation. But it looks like Wicked Prayer won worst Crow movie in this episode. Where can we find you two?
You got it.
So you can find us on videovillentertainment.com. That's where we have all of our social media links, as well as any of our video links for listeners and people that watch. Whether it's Spotify or YouTube, all that information is there.
Any social media, anything like that. You look up Videoville Entertainment, you'll find it.
And you go on there, check out the Memoirs of an Invisible Man episode, leave a comment saying best episode, best guest, please leave that comment there. I think that was pretty good.
No, I
was
find I
episode.
had a good time with that episode.
Oh, that was a good one. Check it out. You guys are probably wondering, Tony, who was the guest on that episode? Well, you're gonna have to click and find out. I don't know.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. Who could have been on that episode that I'm saying is the best one?
His name rhymes with Oni.
But yeah, thank you for having real Crow fans here, not that poser Joey C. He probably, honestly, Wicked Prayer would probably be his favorite because he relates so much to Edward Furlong.
How dare he?
Oh man,
I want to see Joey C as the Crow. That'd be fun.
he can do it well. He's got the build.
Can we ever have a Crow that comes back just to like avenge like their bro that they like? Crow bro, we're doing it.
Or we should just have a movie where all the crows come back and just like battle to the death. Battle for the best crow.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little hard.
Yeah.
Because you can't bring
We're
the best
down
one.
one,
Yeah,
I know,
it's gonna be a little hard to do.
He'll always be the number one, but they can pick a number 2.
Although I don't know. I saw Alien Romulus. Apparently, you just bring actors back from the dead now.
What's the guy that did John Wick again?
The director.
Yeah.
There was 2. One's David Leitch and
David Leitch.
I
Yeah,
forget the other
because he
one.
was one of the stunt doubles of Brandon Lee.
Oh
in the
yeah,
first one.
yeah. Because those movies were made by big stunt
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, I would say don't go to the theater. Oh, it's probably not in theaters anymore to see the new Crow. I don't want to say like don't believe all the hate, but if it ends up on streaming for free, give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it. I feel like a lot of people, like I know Adam and whatnot hated it, but I think a lot of people were maybe shitting on it without actually seeing it.
Yeah.
Because when they said it was like the worst Crow thing ever, I'm like, I don't think you've seen the
Yeah.
other Crow movies.
Yeah.
Well, that was the whole thing. Every time, like, that was our conversations while we're sitting on the couch. I'm like, everyone says that the new one's so shitty. I'm like, have you seen what we're watching?
They
now?
probably, it's kind of like Prison Mike on this show. When I told him, we're going to do worst Home Alone movie, he's like, oh, well, that's easy 3. And I'm like, no, there's 3 more after that. And he went, what? I feel like some people just don't know that there were other Crow movies.
Yeah.
Maybe they heard of City of Angels. They probably haven't heard of Salvation and Wicked Prayer.
No.
so.
I mean, well, I will say City of Angels is, I mean, if you're our age, you know of it because, like you said, they played this on rotation a lot.
Yes. I remember like being very young and seeing the advertisements for it. So, yeah. But yeah, stick with the original. Read the book.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to tell you. Stick with the original, read the book. Still holds up. That 4K transfer is nice. Watched it the other day.
Yeah.
Looked nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is it from us. Let us know what you think is the worst Crow movie ever. And should we review every episode of the TV show on Patreon? I'm brainstorming that idea. I want you guys to know. Should we review Crow Stairway to Heaven starring Mark Dacascos? Let us know in the comments. And that's it from us. Goodbye.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.